Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Arsenal fan circle. It is the Sunday show. And I thought, these boys, Liverpool lads, will be busy doing their own things next weekend. They'll be too busy to book somebody. So I said, let's have this podcast a week early. We're all tired of the internationals right now. So, introductions, you all know, most of you know Matt here. And Matt, of course, from the Arsenal side. So, it's Arsenal 3 right now, Liverpool 2. I'll take that result at the end of the day. Welcome, though, to Dave and Jack. You're kind of an annual fixture here at Arsenal for the fan circle. Long may that continue. We've been getting some losses from you guys. We want to get some wins eventually for the rivalry. But welcome in, Dave.
Yeah, it's great to be here, guys. Really looking forward to next weekend. It's going to be, as we said earlier, we're talking off cam. It's got to be really exciting. It always is an exciting game. It always is. And you can hear the wind, the thunder in the background there. That'll be Liverpool. That'll be Liverpool next weekend, baby.
That'll be the South African. That's the South African thunder down there. He's enjoying.
He's the man who appears from the dark, the shadows.
So Maher is enjoying late spring now, coming into summertime, right, Maher?
Yo, it's just sudden thunderstorm, guys. So pardon if you guys hear. It's going a bit crazy outside. I'm sure you saw when I pointed. I mean, it even flashed. It's flashing like flashing lights. We got no electricity, so I'm here in the dark. I'm still here though. But right. Well, Dave and Jack, my guys, it's so good to have you guys with us. The lads. Oi, oi.
Like Arsenal next weekend, we don't want to be in the dark, but we do want to have some lightning up at Anfield. Have a great game. Jack, thanks for coming back once again, of course.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you very much for having me and Dave on tonight. It was lovely to meet the panel as well, and obviously everyone in chat. We're having a good weekend. And yeah, it's always a good encounter, Liverpool-Arsenal, which we'll discuss tonight. Liverpool have been a bit off the boil in recent weeks, but we'll discuss that tonight. And obviously, as long as it's a good game, a lot of goals. But yeah, it's always a good encounter. Liverpool.
Another 3-2, maybe, Jack. We'll see what happens. Well, we'll go around clockwise. That way, we'll get Liverpool, Arsenal here. So, Dave, start us off. Just tell me briefly, outline Liverpool's season. You started off quite well, but sort of the brakes have been hit a little bit.
Yeah, listen, I was worried. We were all worried in the summer because we didn't sign anybody, and we wanted players in certain positions. We were in trouble last year, centre half. We all know about that. Ultimately finished third, which was very good considering the situation we were in January. I would have likened a player in maybe for a Genie replacement. We didn't get that, and maybe a striker. We didn't get that either, so people were worried. But I think, to be fair, we've done okay. We're in the quarterfinals of the Mickey Mouse Cup. We're first 4 games won in the Champions League. We're into the last 16 with 2 games to spare in a fairly toughish league. Beating Atletico home and away, and in the league we've been okay. I think the draws have killed us in the league. Draws. 3 draws is as bad as just 2 losses and a win in 3 games. You know what I mean? The points is the same. So I think, listen, that's our first game we lost against West Ham in 25 games. People forget that. We hadn't lost since way back. Was it April or something like that? Madrid, I think, or March was last time we'd lost. So we've been on a really good run. They won't last forever. It's a tough place to go, West Ham. We sort of shot ourselves in the foot, to be fair. We didn't play well on today. West Ham did play well. We didn't bring our A game. And if the keeper makes 1 or 2 mistakes, you're always up against it, no matter how good you bloody are. So I think we'll dust ourselves down. The big thing for me is who'll be available for Saturday, who'll be available coming back from international duty. That's the big bloody thing for me. I know it's a bit early doing a podcast for the big game. It's a week away, but, who's available maybe Friday, and you're looking at it saying, midfield, especially for Liverpool. But I think we'll be okay. I think we'll go on another little run. I'm not too worried, to be fair.
All right. Great stuff. I see Jack there waving at Helen. Helen's one of yours, Jack?
Actually, a big supporter of me and Dave as well. Absolute legend.
Good stuff. Good stuff. It's always good, Matt, to get that cross stuff going on between clubs as well. And Liverpool, Anfield, Liverpool, Arsenal for me, it's a traditional rivalry that's gone kind of dead in the last 10 years or so, 10 or more years, and we want to rekindle that, Matt. But what's your general thoughts for Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, welcome to the guys, as we said. Great to have you on. I'm excited. These are the types of games you look forward to during the season. The big games, playing big teams, especially playing at a stadium like Anfield. It's going to be difficult. Liverpool are a great side, full of great players. Despite the loss, the last game, they'll provide a lot of tough opposition this weekend. So I'm expecting a tough game. I think, like Jack alluded to, players out, may work in our favour a little bit, depending on who's available. I think I was just looking, I think you got, is it Firmino, Henderson, Keita, Mane, those, I think those guys are out.
I think Hendo as well, mate.
Yeah. So, it could help us out a little bit there, but you've got enough strength in depth to pose us a lot of problems. I think in terms of our performance this season, I think we're probably playing you at the right time for us, or as best as time as possible as we are concerned. But yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. So I think for us, this is probably our biggest test of the season post those first three games. Not to write them off, but I think now we've got a fully fit squad. I think this is really the biggest test we've had so far. So it'd be interesting to see how we come through that, I think.
Yeah, Matt, the only issue may be Thomas Partey has a groin injury and may be ongoing. I'm actually questioning if that would not be a bad thing, because we seem to have acquitted ourselves quite well. And Partey's faced Liverpool before, and the other question mark I would have is Kieran Tierney versus Tavares at left back. I'll be interested to know what you think about that, Matt, before I get to Jack.
Yeah, Partey, it's a big player for us. That midfield area for me is still a little bit light. Partey is really our key player. Arguably against Xhaka, that's our best two in midfield. Lokonga's done very well, and I think Partey and Lokonga have formed quite a good partnership since Xhaka's been out. Ainsley Maitland-Niles obviously had a really good game last game against Watford, very tidy, very effective. Not sure whether he's really strong enough, to really bolster that midfield in Partey's absence and do that job. But I mean, give him fair dues. He played well last week, so whether it's to be seen whether he could do a job against a side as good as Liverpool. If he can, then that should send some signals to Arteta that maybe we should be giving him a few more minutes. But yeah. Partey's a big miss for us. Tavares and Tierney, well, I know a lot of people kind of said, well, Tavares has come in very, very, very quickly to cover Tierney. He's done a great job. He looks very, very good. He offers us something different to Kieran Tierney. Likes to cut in a little bit more. Obviously got a lot of pace, a lot of skill. I still think Kieran Tierney on his day is probably the better, more complete defender for us. But it's great that we've got him kind of lined up on the bench to take over because he does a very, very good job. So I'm not really worried about that left back position. I think the centre of midfield, I think, is where we're probably going to either win or lose that match, I think. And I think Partey's a big miss.
Jack, we'll go to you next. What's your overall thoughts, Jack? And we do know, look at the black space there. That is Mahir in the dark.
This is my light. How's my light?
He's got his own fireworks
light right now.
display. Got his own fireworks display in there. So, Jack, just briefly touch on Liverpool's season so far and sort of the topics we've mentioned already before we drill down a little bit further into it.
Yeah, it's as Dave alluded to, we've been absolutely flying in the Champions League. The group of death, a lot of the rest of Europe were saying Liverpool's probably the most difficult, but we've done the business, especially against a side that how difficult it's been tricky when we have played Atletico Madrid in the past, but we swept them aside a couple of weeks ago at Anfield, done the job, qualified top of the group, so we can now possibly rest players in the Champions League, which will be massive in terms of the Premier League. As Dave said, it was a crazy game against West Ham, and we've seen West Ham take a lot of points off the top sides this season. So even if we go come the end of the season and West Ham are one of the teams that we have been beaten, there's no disrespect to them because they've been fantastic, but they will take a lot more bigger points off the top six sides. Most importantly, if they do continue to keep the likes of Declan Rice, obviously and Miguel Antonio as well. So all their top players. It was disappointing, but I think if we keep on doing what we've been doing in terms of we haven't played our best, but we've won games. And I think the defence, yes, we can speak about the West Ham result that we had, but the defence has been quite solid. But most importantly, our forward, lads, Mohamed Salah, yeah, he had an off. Well, I think the whole team did have an off day against West Ham, but Mohamed Salah, when you've got a player of that ability on the pitch, he can win any game of football, and it will be a massive test of what this Arsenal side is all about come this Saturday, mate.
Yeah. Of course, Mahir said he's on 10%. I think he's using all of his energy towards that fireworks display, so he may be ducking out at times. So it'll be 2-2.
Yeah, currently on 5%. I mean, I would have loved to be here during the entire to discuss, our match, that the big game that's about to come on, and obviously your guys' results with I mean, even the big teams, you can't be expected to be perfect. Like with you guys, you're gonna get glimpses in the road. Same thing I tell Arsenal, all the Arsenal family, they shouldn't get too gassed over back to back wins. Doesn't matter how many there are, because you're gonna get one of those West Ham results or a Crystal Palace or somebody that just comes full force and beats us. So yeah.
So Jack Callan is picking out all the players that are out, and you're going to be missing that amount of players.
Yeah, it's been mad. It's our midfield. This, mate, as Dave alluded to, Ginny, he was never injured in like 4 years. He was there at the club. If he was probably missing for 2 weeks, but he was a good player. And obviously Henderson, all of our midfielders, Ox, when he was at Hughes, he's very injury prone. The majority of Liverpool's midfield, even Harvey Elliott, young 18-year-old, he got a serious injury, his second game into the league season, and he started off like a house on fire, really. But it is going to be, as Helen's alluded to there, Dave, it's going to be mad in it who we do select. But I think it will be a typical if James Milner, I don't even know if James Milner's fully fit, but it wouldn't surprise me if the man plays through the pain barrier, because he is the man for the moment every single weekend that goes by. The man's about 50 odds by this point in time. He's been playing since the age of 16 all those years ago with Leeds. So yeah, it's who's fit on the day job, I think, at the minute, mate. Yeah.
So Matt, hearing all of that news from the decimated Liverpool midfield, give you a reason for hope there? So it'd be hard.
Yeah, I think do you know what? Defensively, we've been very, very good this season since we've had a fully fit squad. So I think, in terms of, obviously, you got question marks over Salah because he's just such an elite level player. I mean, trying to defend against him is a very difficult job for any team and any defender. So we are going to have to be on our A game everywhere to deal with that threat. But I think, like I said earlier, I think it's a good time to play Liverpool, with injuries, with the run that we've been on, and we've picked up a little bit of consistency. We're getting results even where we haven't played particularly amazingly well and out of our skins. We've managed to get 3 points. So I think if there is a time or such a time to play Liverpool away, I think it's probably now. But saying that, like I said, Liverpool have the quality and the strength to go and get a result, especially at home. So, we can't take those injuries for granted. It's not going to be an easy game by any means. But, to lose the likes of Mane, Firmino, that's a bit of a dent for Liverpool, I think. So yeah, no, I wouldn't go as far as saying I'm confident. But I don't think we're going to get steamrolled. I think we'll put in a decent performance. Yeah. Can I see us winning the game? As an Arsenal fan, you always want to say yes. Not 100% sure. I'm kind of on that at the moment. It's a difficult one, but I think they may just edge us at home. But I think we've got a chance. We have a chance.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a quick one on that, Ray. Start from your lot as well in relation to, we've seen Brighton put in an absolute shift in that second half, disrupted the apple cart. West Ham, you have to work against Liverpool.
Yeah.
It can't just be one or two players here and there. Like, me and Dave on our post-match, West Ham works so well as a team, every aspect, and obviously whoever plays in your midfield, whether that's Saka, Smith Rowe, as good as they are going forward, they've got to be switched on. Because if you switch off against a top team, not just Liverpool in Europe or in the Premier League, you need that's every cog in the wheel really needs to be on point.
Definitely,
100%. Yeah,
definitely. And I don't know what Matt thinks, but he probably thinks similar to me. This is we've beaten teams like Leicester, we've beaten teams like Villa, we've beaten Tottenham. These are teams that we would say are our immediate competition right now. But this is another step up, Matt, and this is another test going forward to see if we can not be just happy with what we've done right now, but go to Liverpool and impose ourselves as much as possible. As Jack said, you have to put the work in. What's the mentality of our players going to be? We don't know that yet, right, Matt?
Yeah, I think. Look, we're playing a good Liverpool side, a very good Liverpool side. I think from an Arsenal fans, or from a sensible Arsenal fans perspective, I think, like I say, as long as we don't sit back, as long as we take the game to Liverpool, I think that's what I want to see. I want to see a positive, energetic performance. I want to see, some of that collective defensive, offensive work that we've seen in recent weeks, where we are much more organised as a unit, both forward and back. I think if we do that and we don't just have, a good first 10, 15 minutes and then sit back and try and absorb pressure for the next, kind of 60, 70 minutes, then I think we'll be okay. I think if we have a good first 20 and then decide to let Liverpool run riot for 60, 70 minutes, I think then we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So I think it's that mindset. I do have question marks over the likes of Odegaard if he does play or start, because he's a little bit lightweight at the moment. I think he's struggled physically. I'm not sure he's going to have the same kind of impact defensively with the rest of the team, as maybe the likes of Lokonga, etc. So
I've worked.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he gets in the squad for this game. For me, I probably wouldn't. But it'll be interesting to see who he goes with. But yeah, it's a massive test.
All right, before we go a little bit more into this preview, I want to ask Dave and Jack this question. But couple other things. Tony's been suffering with a chest infection, I think it is right now, Tony. So please do get better, take care of yourself. Gary's away, enjoying himself, meeting up with his daughter and family. So getting some family time up in Maine and maybe grabbing some lobster as well. How about that? Dave, Steven Gerrard at Villa, is this the right time for him to move to the Premier League? I think Vieira's moved to Palace, so he's closer to Arsenal when the time comes. Is Gerrard the same thing for Liverpool?
I'll tell you what, there's a bit of a mixed feeling on Gerrard to Villa, to be fair. He did a great job at Rangers. He had an unbeaten season there. It's a different league, the Scottish League, to the Premier League. Let's be fair. The Premier League's the best league in the world at the moment, isn't it? Really has been last few seasons. So it's a tough league, no matter what team you're managing. Now, Villa have big expectations. They've one of the richest owners. I think third or fourth richest club in the Premier League, something like that. Ridiculous money they have available. Now, they must have said, we're going to give you a few quid in January, because there's no way he's going to come down. They do need a few players. They let Grealish go. He brought in a few players, but he just didn't replace it with the same quality. It's hard to do.
No, three for one.
Yeah, well, you know what it is? I think it's a bit of a mixed thought on it, because what are Villa realistically going to do this season? What's a big season for Villa? Where is a mid-table finish? Is a top 8 finish a good season for Aston Villa?
Top 6 would be there.
Top 6. And are they going to get into top 6? Where they are now, the position of the table where they are now, they're not the team they were even last season. You can get at them a lot easier. So if Gerrard doesn't get them, let's say, even into top 8, is that a failure then when he comes in and puts pressure on him for next season? And I think he has to have, is it a 3.5-year deal? I think he has to have 2 or 3 really good seasons. It'll take a year or two to stamp his philosophy on them and get the players he wants in. It'll take 2 or 3 windows even. But I think it's a mixed one for me. It can go either way, but I think Gerrard's the type of manager, and as a player, he likes risks. it is a bit of a risk for him. It could go haywire on him. You know
It's
what
a
I mean?
very
I
competitive
think, yeah.
league. Look around that league, all those managers, it's competitive. And of course, Arteta's had 2+ years right now, and we would just say now he's starting to move in the right direction. So,
But I think it's a risk for him. But as I say, as a man, the type of way he is, I think he likes risks and he thrives on risks and thrives on taking a chance and doing something. He wouldn't be the type of fella that would sit down. He always seems to be the fella that would, as we know on the pitch, that's the way he was. So that's his management style. So
I think
I've no doubt he'll do a good job there. I'm just wondering what the expectations are of the Aston Villa fans. Are they too high now? Are they going to be too high and set the ceiling too high for him? I don't know.
let me ask Jack then before we go to Matt. Would the top half of the table be realistic for Gerrard in its first season with Villa?
I think Villa fans will just be happy to stay in the league this season, mate. I think considering how poor they have been playing, considering there was so much emphasis thrust upon Jack Grealish, he played through him. Like a lot of the top teams, if you're so reliant on one player, and when he does leave, as Dave alluded to, they brought in players, but if Stevie kept them in the league, I think that'd be the first step of many to come. I think even if he did get top 10 finish, I think that'd be above their expectations. But you've seen from the philosophy in which he's instilled in that Rangers side, even over the last couple of years, it took him a while to get his players and get his plan on the pitch. He's a forward-thinking manager who wants to play football the right way. There's a plethora of great talent within the Premier League in terms of managerials. It is the best league in world football, and nothing comes close to the standard in which is on show, mate. But it's going to be intriguing for me. I agree with what Steve said there, and I would have liked to have seen him stay at Rangers and developed his craft, really.
Yeah.
I think even if they did finish top, whoever finishes top of the Scottish League this season, go straight into the Champions League, that's an instant £40-odd million there for Rangers. And it would have been intriguing to see him at Rangers in the Champions League, because I think he would have learned so much as a coach. But when that opportunity does come up, as Dave said, they've got a lot of money to spend, and he doesn't move to Aston Villa if he's not under the understanding of, I'm going to get a lot of money to spend at the football club, because it is a massive task. Don't get me wrong, they've got great players, Villa, but it's not really up there to the standards.
Catch-22, Jack. I mean, Vieira, Ken, you might never have had another opportunity to come to the Premier League, so you kind of have to grab it with both hands, even though you may personally not be ready and may not have fine-tuned your craft. And Matt kind of agreed. There would be no excuse if we lose at Anfield other than Liverpool were the better team on the day.
Yeah, like I say, it's a good time to play Liverpool at the moment. Anfield's a difficult place to go, regardless of how they're playing or have played, because they're capable of pulling out big performances and absolutely sticking 3 or 4 goals in. So, when you, like the guys have said, when you got a Salah on your side, things can still happen on that pitch when you got injuries. So,
15 goals.
Yeah.
15 goals so far this season, right, lads? Matt, one other question. Helen said if we play Liverpool like they played West Ham, then Arsenal will win. Traditionally, we have been a team, Matt, that sort of hands out Christmas gifts a little bit early. We want to change that paradigm, so that's definitely something we want to, do. And there was a little bit of stink about the Watford goal in that we didn't give the ball back to Watford. You kind of want to see that, though, in the team as well, right? Have a little bit of a streak in them.
Yeah, do you know what? We've had to toughen up, and it's something that as a club we have been too nice for too long. I'm all for sportsmanship, don't get me wrong. So, I like to see sportsmanship. But at the end of the day, we have been soft for years and years and years. Teams used to come to Highbury, fear us. We had the likes of Vieira, Parteys, Keown, Adams. They used to walk down that tunnel, look at the likes of them and be frightened and quaking in their boots. We haven't had that for a long time. There was that respect, and how many times over the last few years have we heard pundits just saying we're too soft, teams run through our midfield. They're not worried about us anymore. They haven't seen us as a big club for a number of years, and we haven't been up there. So, now we're starting to kind of play with a bit of grip between our teeth. We've got defenders who are actually willing to defend. You know, we've got an absolutely solid back four, back five now who are actually willing to do the business and get stuck in.
Yeah.
You know, teams are maybe starting to think actually we're not going to be able to steamroll through these guys. You know, they're not as easy opposition as maybe they once were.
Well,
There's still a lot of work to be done on that, though, by the way.
Let's ask the lads there. First, Stephen is handing out some great advice to Tony there. So, Tony, take care of yourself. Dave, what do you see anything different in this Arsenal side, looking from the outside?
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal used to be, as he just said, very soft. It would have been great for a Lenore or like Fairy Liquid ad because they're really, really soft, you know. It would have been a great ad for them. But I mean, yeah, a bit more steel to them. I like that guy Smith Rowe. He looks like a proper. He's gone a bit. Well, he is a proper player now, but he's only a young lad. But he looks like he could be the real thing. As they Saka as well. There's some lovely players there, silky players with a bit of steel as well. I'm an '80s boy. That's the type I like. A bit of steel there, you know.
Steve McMahon.
Well, Roy Keane, even though he's United, but you know that bit of steel. Maybe not as much steel as him, but but you know it's very important. I think you have to be any successful team. You've got to have a bit of staleness in your team. You just have to. Arsenal have had it over the years with Vieira and Tony Adams and all these type of players. They've had it, and to win things, you look at a team. They'll always have at least one or two warriors or basically tin men walking around. So I think Arsenal. They were always the famous too easy to play against. You know, just turn up against them and you'll nearly blow them over. You know, that they were that easy, even the last few seasons. But I just think even the end of last season, just there's a bit more about them. They're a bit harder to get through in midfield. You know, I know Xhaka, I'm not a mad fan of his, but he has a bit of steelness about him, to be fair.
Granite Xhaka.
Granite. Well, he's made of granite. Granite. Yeah, granite. That's what I meant. He's concrete. But I mean, like, yeah, no, he is. He's got. I was going to say he's got a bit of concrete about him, but he's got something about him.
Back in training now.
Yeah, but I mean, look, it'll be a tough game. I think it'll be a tough game for Liverpool. I really do. No matter how, even if Liverpool would have beaten West Ham, and we're coming into it, it's still a tough game. I mean, it's Arsenal, you know, and it's not going to be an easy game. I mean, if Liverpool switch off. Put it this way: we'll need our A game. We'll need to bring our A game to beat Arsenal.
No doubt. I think you will. As Gary has said in past podcasts, he likes the team to come in off of a win. It's a little bit more dangerous to have a wounded animal. Jack, 3-2 defeat at Upton Park or wherever the new stadium, whatever that's called, Millennium Stadium, and of course that 2-2 draw with Brighton. Arsenal, take note, Liverpool were 2-0 up on Brighton, so we have to show that heart. So, Jack, what's the most concerning thing that you've seen from Liverpool this season, if you're worried about anything they're doing right now?
Passiveness in midfield, mate, too relaxed. I remember I was at the game at Brighton, and we should have been 3-4-0 up in the first half, and then obviously, I think the Mane goal seemed to be enough, rightly so. It was a handball, but it was too passiveness in midfield, mate. That comes from having too many midfielders, selecting different partners in midfield. But that's where teams can definitely isolate us. I know everyone talks about Trent's inability to defend. He can defend, but due to the system in which he plays at Liverpool, he plays quite high up. But I wouldn't want to change Trent because he's world class at going forward, and it's such a massive part in how Liverpool do attack and open up teams. But obviously Fabinho, the midfield, Henderson, if he does play, needs to be a bit more defensively switched on. But it is a massive part in January. I think Liverpool will very much identify that we need a big, massive, like a Thomas Partey or someone, obviously, of that build that it can do the defensive work. But
do you think Liverpool will go into the transfer market in January?
Yeah, most definitely, mate. I think we're far too late in midfield, mate.
Matt, if you've got a question, jump in as well with the lads.
Yeah, no, I'm listening to the comments.
Samuel says here, well, if something comes, just let me know. Steve, in my opinion, it's a good position for Gerrard to take. If he finishes in the top 8 for 2 years, he'll be offered a bigger job come along. It's just going to be tough for Aston Villa to squeeze into that top 8. 3 or 4 of those spots are taken, and maybe Liverpool is definitely in the top 8 for sure. Okay, couple of questions I have here. I've seen lately, Dave, that Van Dijk is struggling, and I kind of look at Van Dijk as how our Liverpool go, Van Dijk goes. If he's under stress, and he's under stress in that West Ham game, that's kind of barometer how you're gonna go?
I don't know. Struggling is the right word to use. I see Holland drew 2-2 yesterday, and he was playing, and they were actually 2-0 up late in the game, and I think it was Montenegro got a 2-2 draw, and Van Dijk was in the interview at the end of it. I think he's captain of Holland, and he was going absolutely mad. He hasn't been the same player, obviously, since he's come back, but his injury was so bad. I was just delighted to see him on the bloody pitch because I really feared for him. I really did. I thought this could be it. Do you know what I mean? I've read somewhere that this could take 3 or 4 months from playing to get back to any sort of rhythm where you're thinking you're at your best. So he's a few more weeks to go. But I mean, I'd like Van Dijk on the pitch any day of the week. Even an 80 or 75% Van Dijk is better than most defenders out there all day long.
I'll say he's a monster for you, really. Yeah.
It's not even his defending. It's just having him on the pitch. You know, his shouting, pointing, presence, the size of the fella. He's dangerous on free kicks for us. I mean, he's good in the air himself to get a goal himself. So he gives us something going forward on corner kicks for us and stuff like that. But no, he hasn't been absolutely fantastic. The whole back four haven't been fantastic. I mean, no, Alisson was at fault at West Ham for at least 2 of the goals, to be fair. And Alisson's been brilliant for us. So I can't really give out. Alisson's had a tough year with his dad passing away and stuff like that. So, yeah. And he did score a header, a winner against West Brom. I mean, you know what I mean? Hero status straight away. But I mean, Van Dijk, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry about Van Dijk anyway. I just think it'll take a few more weeks. I mean, he's world class centre half. I want them on the pitch as much as possible. And
of course,
I've no problems. He has dropped off a bit, but it's to be expected. To be fair,
I think. And Statman Stubbs Football Channel sub to the channel. Thanks very much. We're at 400 now, so onward and upward, as they say, right? Like, share, subscribe. Appreciate all of the views and all of the viewers. Jack, is it Van Dijk or is it the team around him? If you're picking at the threads,
yeah, as I said there, mate, it is very much the team around them. I think like any defensive unit, obviously when you had those legendary teams, the Gala, not the Gallas, the Rod Campbells and everything at the back.
Not the Gallases, no, come on.
yeah, he's a traitor to him anyway. But yeah, obviously, so big soul at the back, and obviously your Adams, like any defense needs a very consistent basis. I think Liverpool haven't been as consistent in terms of team selection. Obviously, we've had Trent, Van Dijk. I think Joel Matip has been Liverpool's best defender this season, but it's because he's not an £80 million,
right?
Yeah, Matip's not an £80 million fridge that you buy from Leicester, so he's not an expensive, elaborate.
That's the barometer.
Yeah, he's probably one of the most underrated centre halves in Europe. I'd implore you to watch him on Match of the Day. It's because he come from a free from Schalke and he doesn't really get talked enough, but he has been our best centre half, mate. But Robertson's been a bit inconsistent, but he's played a lot of football. But that defence is muchly improved since the days of when we and Dave and all the Reds used to watch a certain Roy Hodgson manager our football club. So we've come a long way.
More lads.
Matt, with all of that being said, who's the striker you're picking up to go up against a Van Dijk or a Matip?
Oh, good question. That's a good question because both, Lacazette and Aubameyang would have their pros and cons, I think, against that Liverpool side. I would fancy Lacazette,
Yeah, me too.
That's my personal gut feeling.
That guy right there. Lacazette.
I don't think that's going to happen, though. Personally, I think we all know that Auba's probably going to get the start. Or whether is he going to play them both again? What do you reckon, Ray?
Oh yeah, I mean, recently we have been getting a 4-4-2. We have been laying out that 4-4-2 formation. So, yeah, very possible. I see Jack's wheels are spinning there because of that 4-4-2 formation.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say there, boys, what's been the magic thing with those two? Have they actually pulled the finger out and started playing? Because Lacazette and Aubameyang have been very missing for the last large margins, the last couple of months.
Formation.
It's strange though, isn't it? Because on their own individually, they're
brilliant.
Individually they're brilliant as players, or they can be on their day. But I think where we've been playing them on their own in games, they've struggled. Not so much Lacazette, because Lacazette is able to bring other players in, link up quite nicely, holds the ball up well, and he has that side to his game which Aubameyang doesn't have. So Aubameyang, if he's not on it, you know, he gets very isolated, and he doesn't bring himself into the game, which Lacazette will do. But yeah, for some reason, when you play them together, they've just got this kind of bond, friendship, understanding, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And they tend to just bounce off each other really well. So I think that's been the key really for them two, because we've not been able to kind of get a tune out of them individually, but as soon as you put them together, it's suddenly clicked into place. So
it's also Matt having a solid midfield base of two in midfield.
Yeah.
And then you got Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka either side of them. And more of a traditional 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1 with Lacazette withdrawn a little bit into midfield.
Yeah, I mean, Emile Smith-Rowe's been fantastic. Like Dave was saying, he's now started to drift inside a lot more, not get stuck out on the wing so much, and he's starting to pop up in and around the box and be a little bit more of a threat. So, that helps bring Aubameyang in as well. I think he's been brilliant, Emile Smith-Rowe. I can't sing his praises enough.
No, brilliant, and congratulations to Emile Smith-Rowe for getting an England cap as well, his first English cap. Maher, you've got a little bit of an echo. If you drop the volume a little bit, I'll bring you in. We haven't lost since a certain lad started playing in goal for us. Yeah, Ramsdale. What's your thoughts, Dave, first on Ramsdale?
I'll tell you what, before I talk about Ramsdale, I just want to say that Maguire's fridge is defrosting, baby. I'll tell you what, Ramsdale, wow, was a save he pulled off. Was it the last game?
Leicester.
It was a save.
Leicester,
save of the season award. Save of the season award. He'd probably get a trophy just for that save. He's a young keeper. I mean, he's, I'm not saying he hasn't got to prove. Of course he has. He's coming in and he's trying to do the job. But I've actually been impressed with him the last few games. I mean, he got a bit of stick starting out. He made a few mistakes, as all goalkeepers do. The problem with goalkeepers are you make a mistake, it ends up in the goal. Usually, it's the biggest mistake you're going to make. But I'm just hoping he doesn't turn into a prime, world-class goalkeeper. Some keepers do when they come up to Anfield and they're pulling saves that out of the top corner, postage stamps, and all this.
We hope.
Prime Buffon on Saturday, and it seems to happen against Liverpool. But I've been impressed with him. He's a really good prospect going forward for Arsenal, and probably he's English, isn't he? Probably going.
Yes, yeah.
Maher, you got any questions for Dave, Jack?
I mean,
what?
You guys, it's just I'm bamboozled right now because we haven't had you guys on for such a long time. I just want to thank you guys for coming on with us. We love having you guys around with us. I mean, just the chemistry and the energy. It's electric. That's all I have to say.
It's like the weather. It's like the weather in South Africa.
I was going to say, it's so electric that we've managed to actually put the lights on in his house.
I was surprised. Basically, I'd already called it a night. I said, okay, 2% battery. It's done, whatever, man. I put my head down.
You have just solved the world's problem for that COP26 or whatever that was on earlier on. You can feed off the electricity of live shows. You'd be able to put your bloody television on.
We brought it back.
Big up yourselves for coming on. Helen said thank you for the stream. So good stuff.
Yes, I'm young, mate.
So is it a thing, Jack, that is Klopp too loyal to the senior players? There's some murmurings amongst Liverpool fans that Robertson is being favoured over Simicast.
It's difficult, isn't it? You know, when you got used to the certain squads, and it's been so good over the last 3-4 years. Last year we had that defensive crisis, but even opposition teams, when you play them that many times, you're eventually gonna figure teams out, aren't you? And Liverpool, when Salah doesn't score, or when Mane or Bobby doesn't score, we struggle. There's not enough goals from midfield, but I'd like to see Costas play against Hughes. Left back, he does deserve it. He's not put a foot wrong, but I think it's when players are hitting such peak levels, there's always going to be a down point, and obviously people will jump on obviously the bad form. It was basically impossible to probably eclipse their form 2 years ago because they were hitting so many assists, so good going forward as well, and good defensively, most importantly. But yeah, it's difficult. But I think the reality is this Liverpool side is it's becoming very old. And they come, whether it is after Jurgen Klopp, if he does stay or leave, there's going to be a massive transition. Like most teams around Europe, there's a massive transition, the change of the tide. And it's difficult when we've grew up watching these in the last 3 to 4 years because they've been so good. But there will be the realization from Jurgen Klopp. I think Jurgen and the players themselves would like to see an injection of quality, not a load of players, but one or two players that come into the squad and freshen it up and allow players. I think Robertson has probably played the most minutes in and around Europe for the last 3 to 4 years. If you add into international stage,
I used to watch some Arsenal videos, and back in the day, the players would say it'd bring new energy when a new signing would come in because everybody would pick up their game a little bit more. About a question for you and I, and I'll put Mahir in there as well. Who do you think should be left back? We were talking about this a little bit earlier as this person plays against Salah. I've seen Tierney against Salah in previous years, albeit in weaker sides than we have now. So I'm willing to look at Tavares as left back here. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, Tierney hasn't had the best run of form. Obviously, he's been out, and Tavares has had a great run. And we're always banging the drum for picking players on form. So I probably would give Tavares the chance and the opportunity. He's been doing very well since he's come in. He hasn't really put a foot wrong. I don't have any real concerns over him defensively at all, really. So I can't see an issue with that. I don't think Tierney should just automatically jump back in. I don't think that Tavares has really, like I say, put a foot wrong to kind of warrant Kieran just walking straight back into that team. So yeah, I can't see an issue with Tavares playing. I probably would stick with him, to be honest. And while you're on a good thing and on a good run and the team is clicked, I'd keep with it, stick with it, let the momentum build.
This is what we've asked for, Matt. Mahir, what do you think, Tierney or Tavares?
No, absolutely, Tavares. I mean, I love Tierney. There's not one thing anybody can say about Tierney. Tierney is a fantastic player. I mean, I love that guy to bits, and I'm sure we all do. But unfortunately, Tierney's form has been dropping steadily, and like Matt just said, we have to give Tavares also a chance because he hasn't put a foot out of place as just yet. So maybe he would be better suited to deal with Salah, although I have a feeling it's not going to be that case.
You think Tierney will come back in, and a little bit like Jack said about Klopp, you have that a manager has a loyalty to certain players. They've been in the trenches with them. They've won a Premier League title. They've won the Champions League. So Klopp has that right to be loyal to the players who've gotten them there, gotten the club there. And maybe Arteta feels the same way about Tierney right now.
Yeah, but like playing players on form, we've been banging that drum for a long time. And I mean, Tavares is that player at the moment. It's the one that's on form. And what if you throw in Tierney and he absolutely gets skinned alive? Then it's going to be back to square one with, oh, I told you these players are garbage, blah, 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 Arteta, blah, blah, blah.
we all have our agendas, whether we Arteta in or Arteta out.
Yeah.
Like we need to be backing the team.
It'd be a bold move, wouldn't it? Because I
especially
think Arteta would get stick for that. Because, like you say, you want to see players playing on form.
Mhm.
I think he gets stick. I think it'd be unfair on Kieran, coming back straight in against a good Liverpool side. Do you want to put him in that position? Unnecessarily when you've got Tavares playing well at the moment. There's no real big reason. Tavares isn't injured. There's no issue there. Do you really want to chuck him straight in? I think that would be a bit unfair on him, actually.
Yeah, and what if Tierney gets injured again? What if he gets injured inside the Liverpool game?
Well, yeah, he could do that in training as well. This is the old.
Yeah. You got to play. I mean, you can get injured anywhere. Get injured playing PlayStation.
Make it a cup of tea.
I could, Dave.
Get injured playing PlayStation. Let's be free.
Well, to be fair now, Dave, we had one of those. Now he's gone to a Turkish side. We did have one of those kind of players who would get injured playing PlayStation and things like that. Matip has been excellent for you guys.
Matip, do you know what the thing about Matip is? He actually gave up his international career early to concentrate on playing football for Liverpool, for Cameroon actually.
Yeah.
And but it's just what a centre half. He's very calm on the ball. He's big, long legs. He's got, what's that called? He's like Serengeti, going through the Serengeti, in Africa. Just going right through the midfield, the big long legs. But and he calms whoever's playing beside him, calms it down. You never really see him panic. There is a context thing on Twitter. You see him doing all these mad things. When he wins trophies, he does all these dances. But he's a calming influence, and I really do think it's him and Van Dijk for the centre back pairs for me when both are fit. That's the pairings for me. They just suit each other so good. He's a big tall lad as well. He's quite good in the air, but he's underrated. As Jack said, he's not like the fridge. He's not like an 80 million pound fridge, or he's not like, things like that.
An 80 million
pound fridge, you know what I mean? So, but that's it. I mean, you go into some shop and you look for a fridge. You look for a big American fridge, a big Samsung or one of these fancy fridges that have like the ice, the water things on the side, which is what
Wi-Fi.
Maguire on the side of the fridge. No, you just got a normal fridge that does the job. Keeps stuff cool.
Yeah.
And that's what Matip is.
Do you know what, Dave? I feel like you should be in like a Debenhams or a John Lewis department shop selling fridges.
To be selling, Dave.
You'd be great.
And I have another good one for Costas. As you were saying, I think Costas is very unlucky to be out of the Liverpool team because I think DHL were looking for him. His deliveries are that good.
Helen is telling us Xhaka needs to be shipped out of the club, and that's coming from the outside. So I think if we can get £5 for him in the summer, we'll take it. £5, €5. I wouldn't even worry about the exchange rate. But I think, Matt, we're getting to a point where the youth is taking over the experience.
Yeah, I think the boys have stepped up. The boys have been the men, really, to be honest with you. I mean, you look at a vast period of time when you were looking at our captain, Aubameyang went missing for long periods. The likes of Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe, they all stepped up to the plate and basically carried us. They did. They carried us. We were looking to them every single game to either bag goals and assists and kind of really carry us through those games where we weren't finding anything going forwards. And Aubameyang was kind of just isolated up top, not really getting himself involved, didn't look interested. Even on media duties and things like that, we were seeing the younger players come out and speak because Aubameyang, again, didn't want to come out and kind of face the music when we weren't playing well and weren't winning games. Suddenly we started winning a couple of games and he wants to have his piece on TV. So, no, do you know what? I think it's so positive. I'm personally, Arteta, I don't want to get onto the whole project thing too much, but we've seen a big improvement. I think the whole kind of project youth, we're seeing some value in that. I think it was probably needed, to be honest. We needed a massive clear out and we've seen that happen. And I'm kind of glad we've gone for that because we just had to kind of rip it right down to the foundation, start again, have a big clear out. And, we're getting there. We're not going to see that massive growth over the next kind of 6 months. It's going to be a couple of years before we kind of see any real substantial progress, in terms of really being competitive. But I like the fact we've gone for youth, and I think players like Xhaka, I think we will have to we have to sprinkle it with a bit of experience. So I think next summer we probably will go out and buy some star experienced players to kind of complement that.
Definitely
and I think I think Xhaka probably may not last beyond next summer. But I think, for all his faults on the pitch, he can see red quite easily. He is a bit rash. I think there's obviously something that, a lot of managers have seen in him off the pitch in terms of his leadership capabilities, in the dressing room and that kind of thing. Sets a good example. So I think he's good to have around the club from that perspective. Bit like David Luiz, he cost us games at times, but he had a lot of experience, winning mentality and all of that. And actually that was a good thing for the dressing room. So yeah, I think we need him to a degree, but after next summer, I think he'll probably be shifted.
Wait,
I think.
The reason why I'm laughing, Matt, is did I just hear you say Xhaka? It's a good example.
Not on the pitch. I did say off the pitch. I did caveat
sorry.
that with off the pitch.
I was checking. What?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Going kung fu fighting on in a Premier League match isn't really setting a good example. No. I will.
You mentioned Sideshow Bob in the same.
Oh no. This is off the pitch. Absolutely. I'm making this very clear right now. This is off the pitch, not on the pitch. Because 100% on the pitch, not a good example. Not a good example.
Stephen said, guys have some good friends to Liverpool. They're some of the most loyal friends you can get, top lads. And this Liverpool is an example of a club that you want to hold up as Arsenal. The history, the tradition, we want to follow the way you're doing things. We are presently above United. Yes. Presently above Tottenham right here. So long may that continue. And this is a rivalry we want to start tangling with Liverpool now.
Yeah, I mean the Man United thing is fantastic. These guys, our guys here, both of them feel the same way I feel. I actually sometimes hate Man United more than I hate Tottenham.
Yeah.
Because they got big mouths, man. 21 in 21. Yeah. Now I sent somebody a picture of a domino. You know the domino with a 5-1? Was it 5-1? Yeah.
5-0.
I sent that domino.
5-0.
Oh my days. I sent that domino. Sorry, it was a 5 blank. I sent that picture of that domino to so many support. My real dad actually supports United. And I even walked into his house proudly wearing full kit. I said, what now? What now, my G? He said, what rubbish is this? What rubbish? I say, yay. Don't say anything. We've got brilliant players.
In terms of the Arteta message, this is the right thing. Players playing well, he gets the next game. You know what I mean? So, Statman, thanks for subbing. Really enjoyed watching. Love to get you on my channel. So we'll definitely talk about it. You guys know that channel, Dave, Jack?
Yes.
Yeah, we know him. Great
yeah, he's top lad.
All right. The only change Arteta will have to consider is Tavares or Tierney. So, what? Dave and Jack. We'll go with Jack. You're pretty confident that Liverpool will come to this game with the right attitude after losing against West Ham and drawing. You can probably put your hand in your heart and say you'll get the right performance at Anfield on Saturday.
Yes, because
with no hesitation at all.
100%. Because even
that didn't sound like 100% to me, did it?
Yeah, I was just imagining Jürgen going mental. He probably locked them all in the changing room after the West Ham. Why can't you defend a basic corner? He probably spent the whole week practicing corners in training, and then all the balls were getting lobbed in the box. He was like us, and he won't publicly say he's a good manager. He'll never come out and blast his players. He'll say it in house and tell them straight. But the lads will react. Literally, we've seen in the last 3 to 4 years since. It's not. We haven't got a bunch of mercenaries on the pitch. We've got a bunch of lads that actually understand. Like Arsenal, like us, Manchester United. Yes, we can joke about United, but we're a massive club, and all these players, they're very fortunate to play for the football club, regardless of how much money they're on. Past gone players have come to certain clubs and really take it for granted, but Jürgen will learn. Us fans learn quite a lot from that result. But I think it helps that it come this early. I know 11 games in, but
Loving yeah.
yeah, it would have been a massive learning curve, like it is with every result. I mean, the lads would have learned so much, but I think it's a big, massive test for this. I'm intrigued to see how this Arsenal side do come to Anfield. Obviously,
It's going to be the mentality, Jack, because
yeah,
we, as Arsenal fans, we know what Liverpool are going to give us on Saturday. We're just not sure about our own side. If we're happy with the work we've done and we want to say going to the Anfield is a little bit too much for us and we down tools, unfortunately, in the second half, I want to see something different.
Yeah, I think for you guys, it's performance that probably counts. I'm not saying the result doesn't count. You want a result, but you don't want to get beaten 3 or 4-0 and just be absolutely crap. You want a performance, you know, even if you got beaten 2-1 and say, well, we're a little unlucky there. That's taking something out of the game. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think there'll only be a goal in it. I think it'll be something like 2-1, something like that. I can't see Liverpool walking away with this game. We're under a little bit of pressure from the West Ham, the international break. Now, I can't talk about, you know, doing Nostradamus on who's going to start, even for Arsenal, who's going to start for Liverpool, because we're a few days away. There's another international game. There's a game Ireland that played Luxembourg. I'm watching on telly here as well. Luxembourg, they probably beat us. But so there's so much to happen between. Yeah, they did, but it's 0-0, 13 minutes gone here. But look. I think Liverpool bring their A game, we beat you. Even if you bring your A game, 2 A games, Liverpool win. But if we don't bring our A game and Arsenal bring their A game and do all the things right, I think we could struggle. I really do. I think the first goal is obviously important, but
it's mentality is huge. We Arsenal need to bring you back to the place where you're thinking, oh no, this is another West Ham. Oh no, this is another Brighton. And we need to frustrate you. My hero.
Well, are you confident? Are you confident right now on Sunday night? I know you don't know the team and stuff, players coming back from injuries, but are you confident you might get something?
This will tell me the mentality of the 11 players on the pitch.
Yeah.
Let's face it. I mean, this is the best we've been for the last couple of years, I think, in terms of consistency and actually where we're at. So I think, like Ray says, you know, now's the time, you know, are we going to turn up and are we going to put a shift in and put a performance in, or are we going to go missing and disappear? You know, are we going to give a good 5 minutes, and are we going to resort to kind of previous games last season where we just make silly mistakes and kind of hand teams games within the first 5-10 minutes? You know, so I think you hit the nail on the head, Dave. I think, you know, we just, like you say, do you know what? If we lose to Liverpool, fine. Do you know, if we lose a good Liverpool side who played blindingly well, we played well, and it was just, you know, an absolute worldie from Salah, what can you do about it? Fine. You know, you move on. If we turn up and we get absolutely steamrolled and, you know, the players just don't look interested, aren't putting in challenges, haven't got the energy and intensity, then that's going to be the issue. Yeah. But I mean, crikey, if, and it's a big if we did get a result, I think that's a big tick in the box for Arteta.
But Matt, although Jack hesitated, so he's like 90% sure, I think he hesitated. We can't put our hand on our heart and say we know what we're going to get on Saturday.
No.
You guys know what? Yeah. This is Arteta's a real test for Arteta, because this is his side. Basically, all these players are his players. So Arteta basically has to show us sort of what he sees. He needs to show us what his plan is. Because, to be honest with you guys, Dave, I mean, guys, I'm still Arteta out, though. I'm still Arteta out. I'm still convinced with a better coach, we can still win, but just have a coach that will better manage the players. But like, yes. I'm quite looking forward to the game against you guys, and like would love to see like a thriller, like a 3-2. Either it doesn't matter whether it's to you guys or to us.
We haven't lost since August 28th. You know, that's 2.5 months. So 10 games unbeaten, albeit as the table looks right now, we've beaten all the teams in the bottom half of the table. Tottenham reside in 9th, actually from 9th down. We've won. We've done what we've needed to do, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, we've within those games, I don't think Arsenal fans would say we've absolutely played out of our skins for all of those. We've had some great games. We've played very well in some of them, and in some of them we played well for 20-minute, 30-minute periods, and then have gone missing. And others we've had a full 90 minutes where we've played well. It's been a real mishmash of performances. But the important thing is we've been getting the 3 points.
Clean sheet.
Sorry, Ray.
Clean sheets from us have been pretty good as well. Matt, who's going to be your midfield pair for us if Partey doesn't make it?
Interesting. Yeah. Something says Ainsley, maybe, but again, would you go with it? Because I'm just not convinced by that Odegaard kind of Lokonga pairing. I'm not sure what everybody else thinks, to be honest. I'm a bit mixed with who I'd go. I've been thinking about this today, and I'm still undecided. If I'm being honest with you, Ray, I'm not sure what your thoughts are.
Ainsley, I think I would give Ainsley Maitland-Niles another chance in midfield alongside Lokonga. I don't think we have anyone else really.
Off the back of man in a match display, you can't drop him, surely.
No.
I was going to say, as a manager, and obviously in the summer he did kick off, but that's what you want from a reaction from a player, isn't it?
Almost an Everton player.
Yeah, very close to. Yeah, I kind of like him. I know he's quite disrespectful in terms of, but it's attitude the same with most players. But if he's putting in displays like that, he's very versatile. He can play fullback, midfield. But I think if he does continue putting in performances and he lets his football do the talking, he could have very much salvaged his Arsenal career, especially when you look at that Granit Xhaka and certain players that have played in the middle of the park for Arsenal in recent times. You'd rather want that player that puts in a shift.
Yeah, a quick word. I know this is again from the outside. Looking in from the outside, has Arteta's management style been good with some of our players that he's ostracized and maybe brought them back in, like Ainsley Maitland-Niles or a Guendouzi? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like that. Maybe when we had certain players at our football clubs, Arteta, he's going to be there for a while. Like Jurgen Klopp, he had to sit back and look who's within this squad, and he probably done that to get a reaction, knowing that Maitland-Niles would put that in man of the match performance. Yes, it's not sometimes certain managers he's not quite in a Mourinho type of way, because that's the full tilt scale, really.
He's 10 on the Richter scale,
Yeah, but I think Arteta, he's still learning. Obviously, he's still a very young manager. He's not perfect like most managers in world football, but I think he would have learned a lot from the experience, and obviously Maitland-Niles would have as well. But I think he'll turn around to Maitland-Niles and say, I knew we could get that out of you. That's why I dropped you for the last couple of weeks. This is the response I wanted. And Maitland's he's quite still young player. And well, 26, 27.
Jack, would you take Kolasinac from us in January? Says Rudy.
Oh no. Maybe for security. Maybe if we were doing security, maybe. If we needed a bit of security.
That was less hesitation than the previous question I asked you. Dave, Helen said FSG if they don't give Klopp funds, I think the tension between FSG and Klopp and the fans will get worse. Is that true, Dave?
There's always there's a percentage of Liverpool fans who have a problem with FSG no matter what they do. Anyway, you'll always get every fan base has a problem with their owners when they don't spend money, for God's sake.
Sure.
But I think FSG have put themselves in this position. I'm not FSG out, by the way. I think they've done a really good job at Liverpool. We were in a bad place about 10 or 11 years ago. If people don't forget.
Short memories.
Right? I mean, exactly. I call them TikTok fans. That's all they do. They look at TikTok and Instagram all day. Yeah. They've no real interest in the club itself. They're only interested in reaction videos and, who's playing today. We'll be able to name 4 players off the bloody team. So these type fans, you'll always get 10% of a club that will have that type fan base. And at Liverpool, they're quite loud. They're quite loud, especially on Twitter and toxic social media, things like that. So, no, look, we didn't replace Genie in the summer. We didn't get a striker that we all needed. Everybody thought we needed 1 or 2 players. Everybody, except obviously Liverpool or Klopp, probably thought he was okay at what he had. We didn't replace them, so FSG are getting the blame on that. We have money. Don't ever think we don't have money. We do have money, guys. We absolutely do have money.
There. It's there.
It is there. Will they spend it? I think they're going to have to put their hands in their pockets in January. I really do.
Yeah.
I think they will. Or, and whether they will or not is the question. But I think they will need to put their hands in their pockets.
As really said here, Helen, it was a joke. I don't think anyone wants Kolasinac. He's going to retire. He's probably going to be a lifelong resident at the training ground like Robert Perez. Maher, you're sideways. There you go. Any questions from the Liverpool side or any questions from the Arsenal side? I'll open it up for a second here.
I was just going to say, who do you think is going to be your biggest miss? If you've got that list of players out on at the moment as it stands, who do you think is going to be your biggest miss this weekend or this game coming?
For me personally, Naby.
Naby.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't know if you've seen the highlights of the United game, but the way I know it's quite easy to do when you play United at the minute. I think our under-12s could have won them. But Naby, in terms of the way in which we want to play football, obviously you've got Fabinho when he's there fully fit. He's the Marshall. He's our Patrick Vieira, really stops play and everything. But Naby, for the way in which we want to play, from a defensive point of view as well, he does do a lot of work off the ball. But yet again, like players we've mentioned tonight for both sides, injuries have hampered his career. But for me personally, it would be Naby for the way we want to play football. I think he's so important.
Yeah, I mean he's been dogged with injuries. I mean you could say the same of Oxlade-Chamberlain as well. He's had one or two good games, then gets a bloody injury playing PlayStation in the back of someone's car or doing TikTok dances with his girlfriend. I mean, that's what they're more interested in doing TikTok and Instagram bleeding dances up and down the steps. So I mean Naby is a big loss for some midfield because he would have gave us something different. He gives us, as Jack says. He's very good at winning the ball back, does a lot of unselfish work, full of energy. Red Bull boy, I used to call him, 6-pack of Red Bull, running around all over the place. And he can score goals and make goals as he did against United. So he was just starting to show us what we bought him for nearly 60 million from RB Leipzig, another Red Bull team, by the way. And so... Unfortunately, it's looking like injuries is going to be a big problem for him even going forward because he's just
there's a player I'm tracking from RB Leipzig, RB Salzburg actually, and he is
Ademi
Aronson. He is a Liverpool fan, so I hope you don't get him. Hope he comes to Arsenal.
Hold on. Hello.
I see Helen having great crack in there with Stephen and the rest of them, so it's great to see having great fun in there. Talking about car boot sales and all that stuff. Now here, a great point here from the assembled. And I think this leans towards Tavares for me. If you allow Salah to turn the first few times he receives the ball, he'll terrorize you. But don't allow him to do that. He'll change his game. He drops deeper.
Yeah, I mean, another great point.
Tavares' energy might be able to turn him backwards, turn him in field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Tavares is quite attacking, eh? He just needs to be careful. Because, like Azimbal's saying, if you do allow him to turn one too many times, you yourself are going to suffer a sprained ankle because he's going to twist you. I love the chats, guys. Keep it going.
Helen says she's barrel of laughs. Just ask Dave and Jack. Good stuff.
But Barca, I just think it comes down to that age-old kind of that going and taking the game to Liverpool and just not allowing them to have as much of the ball as you like. Because, like you say, if you give players like Salah too much time and space, they're going to absolutely turn you inside out. So we've really got to take the game to them, not sit back.
Yeah.
Great to see Doug in here as well. You're late, Doug. You're late.
I see Helen's gone down. She's been a welcome addition to the chat tonight. There's a lot of positive comments.
Maybe
Thanks,
she'll
Helen.
come back and check us out Thursday nights as well. And she based in England, Jack?
Yeah, I think so, Dave. Isn't he?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're an early morning night owl, that'll be us. Congratulations on the 400 subs. Thanks, Doug. We're slowly getting there, slowly building the community.
Well,
Yeah,
the way you get there is through collaborations. And actually, I've noticed, and Jack will tell you as well, do you know what's so important for getting subs? It's going live.
yeah.
If you just post videos all the time, it's very hard to get, unless you collaborate with some huge Mark Goldbridge or someone like that. But it's very hard to get subs. But I think when you're live, you always get someone popping in that has never seen the show. You know what I mean?
And
And
yeah,
you have a chance.
nothing wrong with a little bit of friendly rivalry as well. We'll see what happens.
No, I
on
mean, even
Saturday.
collabs between the smaller channels,
Yeah.
it brings fans from
Yeah.
all around. Like, for
Yeah.
example, for example, our people will go and watch your streams, right?
Mhm.
They become part of your channel as well, even though
Yeah.
they support Arsenal. Guys
Yeah.
from your guys' streams will come to us,
Yeah.
and the chat will just go wild.
Steve
And
Denham
there's
is
talk of banter and
Stephen.
different sort of topics, laughter. I mean, it's beautiful.
Stephen is a top. Stephen is a top lad as well. Matt, I'm kind of running out of things to ask the guys, so I really think it's a mentality check at Anfield. We probably will wind it up in the next 10, 15 minutes here, unless Matt and Matt here or the other two can bring me some questions.
I'll tell you what you could do for the last 10 minutes when you're finished with football talk. You could talk what I usually do and Jack does. Sometimes we mix it up for the last 10 minutes. Start talking about movies, music, conspiracy theories.
Do you know what? Conspiracy theories, we've got enough of those around the club. We've had enough of those.
That's Arsenal's midfield. A conspiracy theory.
Can Kolasinac actually defend or something? Yeah.
Crikey.
But yeah, no, just a quick one, lads. On obviously, I've seen the owner do an interview, or is it the young
Josh.
lads? Josh Kroenke. About time someone took them a very long time to actually publicly come out. He didn't have to do that, but the fact that your fans have been protesting and over the last 12 months and previous years, it's I found it mad and quite ironic that he comes out when you're on a positive run and not a couple of months ago when you were in a difficult period. Typical PR from not just Arsenal, but we've had our owners do it. They've done a half bothered post Super League video going, "Oh, we're sorry," and all that, but
in a cemetery, or it looked like it was in a bleeding like a funeral home.
Yeah,
it was like a funeral home. The flowers behind him, like that. Someone died here.
It's mad. What's your thought? And even I know a lot of people were quite 50-50 on Arteta, but from an outside point of view, I think for me personally, I know Klopp and Arteta aren't on the same level, but it's who you'd bring in. Do you want to change the style? Obviously, the philosophy of the football club of Arsenal has always been the case for the last 20, 30 years, steeped in history. Now, obviously, Jurgen come in, you managers when you're at big clubs, it's not like United where they change manager every week and the mentality and the philosophy of the football, the team changes. But for me personally, I'd say keep with Arteta because it's going to be difficult when you've got obviously Conte, Klopp, Pep, but you never know with Arteta. I think give him another 2. How long has he got left on his contract? Is he
2 years?
Matt, maybe 2 years, Matt.
2 years, yeah. Even give him like 2 years because it wasn't always instantly for Jurgen.
Yeah.
I know obviously he'd done stuff in Europe with Dortmund and Mainz, but
it's such a massive project, though. That's the thing, you can't. Yeah. The club wasn't in a particularly stable, great place before Arteta took over. The squad was an absolute mess. Yeah. There was a lot of change that was required. Again, it's like we had to tear down the house and go right back to the foundations, build again. That doesn't happen overnight. And whatever manager you get on board is going to find that really, really very difficult to do. It's going to be a 2 to 3 year job at the minimum. And when they clearly seem to have had this project youth, they identified Mikel as the man they want to lead it, give the guy a chance. And I think they all said, I think in the interview, Josh did an interview earlier in the season with Sky, said, give us patience. Just wait until you've got the fully fit squad ready and fit. And lo and behold, after 3 games, and we had all of our first team back playing, we suddenly go on a 10, 11 game streak.
Mhm.
And it's like, well,
Yeah.
come on, guys. What more does he have to do with the resources available and what he's had to really kind of validate having a bit of a chance here in another couple of years to get it right?
As Matt, as Helen said here, Smith Rowe must start all games. He's that good. We actually thought he'd have a situation with Ødegaard, but he seemed to be able to push Ødegaard out a little bit because he hasn't really lit up the Premier League like Emile Smith Rowe has.
Yeah, he's the thing is, Smith Rowe's a bit more used to the rough and tumble of the Premier League. He's fully up to speed and scratch with it.
At Huddersfield, and he went to Germany.
Yeah, he's a very, very, very he's a prodigious player, really, and like I say, I think he'll go on to do big things. But at the same time, although we want him to start all games, we can't physically. He's gonna, as much as we like to think he's Superman, he's not. So Ødegaard is going to have to really step up his game. He's got a little bit of time to do that, but at some point he's really going to have to pick his game up. And show us what he's all about. I think last season he did that in flashes. I thought in some games he was absolutely fantastic. He hasn't really done that so far this season, but I think he will come good. Yeah. I think someone else mentioned it on the chat. I think it's a good opportunity for him to get some minutes, maybe second half against Liverpool, and almost be an impact sub second half. It's a good chance for him to do that. So he will come good, but I think he just needs a little bit more time to do that consistently.
Mr. Bungle will take a tight 2-1 loss, and I think he just does not want to see a trouncy.
Yes.
Can we get Sam on? Yeah, definitely, but I don't think Sam is around right now. Jack, what do you think is Arsenal's biggest threat to Liverpool apart from no threat? And then I got one for Dave after that.
Saka. Since I've known you, Ray, I've been a massive fan of Saka. And for me, I wish we would have got him. I think Jurgen Klopp had a look at him, obviously, before he did sign that contract a couple of seasons ago prior. But yeah, he's, as the lads have said, and everyone in chat, it says a lot about the certain, especially senior players, when you're leading lights or your youngsters. And it's important that you don't burn those two out, Saka and Smith Rowe. There's so much emphasis being thrust upon them at such a young age. But we've seen with Trent, he come in at quite a young age, and Curtis Jones at the minute, not at Trent's level, but it's great to see that they get the club, they get everything about the club, they understand what it means to play for the, obviously you come through the academy and everything, so there's nothing better. Obviously burnout, you don't want to burn out the young players far too young. Obviously you look at a prime example was Michael Owen with his injuries, never was quite the player after them. So Saka, if any positive results this season, and obviously on Saturday, it will come through Saka and Smith Rowe. And as we said, from a defensive point of view, but for me, I absolutely love Saka. He's such a great, talented footballer, mate. And I think if it is going to be a threat, obviously there's a lot of big threats in the Arsenal side. You don't want to be disrespectful, but for me, it would be Saka and Smith Rowe, mate.
I think Gary mentioned he heard somewhere on an Arsenal podcast an 80-20 rule. Saka is involved in the game 80% of the time, but his actual impact in terms of hard numbers like assists or goals is 20% of the time, whereas Emile Smith Rowe is a little bit different. His impact is more immediate, and we want Saka maybe to come forward a little bit more with some more goals. That's just the last part of this development, right?
You could probably understand, though. You probably coincide that with the Liverpool's from today. You probably see Salah getting a lot of the goals, but Mane and Firmino do probably a lot of
the donkey work. The donkey work.
Yeah,
you do all the donkey
work.
Yeah,
obviously certain players will look good on stats and certain players won't. I think Mane's off the ball moving, probably similar to Saka and obviously the midfield players. Obviously certain fans, obviously neutrals, you always look at stats to judge a player. Which for me, football's not like that.
Yeah.
Obviously,
you almost have to classify yourself first, Jack. Are you a person who watches the player and determines that, or do you go to the stats and lean heavily? You know what I mean?
No, like I've always been a player. Like Gini Wijnaldum was prime example, mate. I think obviously everyone, especially Liverpool's midfield, I think from outside point of view, everyone goes, "Oh, don't get a lot of assists, a lot of goals," but it's the workman mentality that helps this Liverpool squad thrive. Even if you had a midfield that works well for Arsenal, and the core at the core of the club, it helps so much. But for me, Ginny, as much as we lost him, we've moved on. We've got to, but he done such a lot of off the ball movements. It was ridiculous. It was crazy.
You see, Matt, what I'm hearing is Arsenal are going to have to work hard on Saturday, and I'm just worried that we're going to get outworked. We got outworked against Brighton, and it was a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, I think we've come on since then, though, and I think we have adapted to different teams. I think Brighton was a tough game, but we came through it. We learned from that. I think some of our problem has been not taking chances. You know, like we were talking about against Watford. You know, we had chances to go 3-4 in that game.
Yeah,
we cannot do that. Yeah, we can't do that against Liverpool. You know, if we have a chance, we have to put that in the back.
You got to be clinical. You got to be clinical.
Yeah. And that's been a problem. And I think that's something we cannot do against you guys. Because I don't think we're going to get a huge amount of chances. So where we do get them, we're going to have to take them. The guys are going to have to be sharp, you know, at both ends, really. So, I think we've learned a lot this season. I think the team, being young, are learning as they go. I think they are developing. You can see them kind of changing and adapting almost each game to some degree. But that being clinical is something we really do have to get better at, because that's been a bit of a theme. You know, so even last season we were really bad with that.
So, Dave, to Helen's point here, I was shocked when we bought Ramsdale. However, he has been good for you guys. We shipped 9 goals in the first 3 games. We've only conceded 4 in the intervening 8 games. So,
as I said earlier, he's impressed me. I mean, Smith Rowe, stands out as well, and Saka, but another player, if you would have asked me, it would have been Ramsdale, the goalkeeper, coming in. Because as I say, there was question marks over him coming in. He got a bit of stick in a few games, but he stuck to his guns. Do you like that? Stuck to his guns, and like, you know, has come good. I mean, clean sheets. You know what goalkeepers and centre halves are like? They like clean sheets. Yeah. Strikers like scoring goals, and defenders and keepers like keeping clean sheets. So, as you said, you are fairly tight at the back. You don't like giving away goals, and that's a sign of. That's not only a sign of the defence playing well, that's the sign of the team playing well, especially the midfield. And we haven't been keeping a lot of clean sheets. We used to be like a 5-star hotel. We walk into the room, the sheets are beautiful, baby. You know, clean and sheet. But we haven't been keeping a lot of clean sheets lately. And that's a little worry for me, especially with Arsenal's attack. So I can certainly see Arsenal scoring against us as the weekend, but I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. But I think this is a potential banana skin. I really do. It's a little bit of a worry about this game. Liverpool got to go a game to win this game. They got to be on our A game, big time.
Possibly a draw. You know, possibly a draw. We're all talking about wins here. Really, don't make me doubt us against United. I was so confident we'd beat them. Now I'm second guessing it. We'll take a few comments here, and then we'll get into predictions.
You'll beat United. I'm telling you, you're under 12 to beat them. If you don't beat United, then there's gonna
Matt will tell you when we're expected to do something. That's when the difficulty starts, right? We were expected to beat Watford comfortably, Matt. It didn't happen.
Yeah, it's the underdog. If we're the underdog and the pressure's off,
talking about banana skins.
Yeah. I'd say Watford are a better footballing side. They've probably got a better manager than Ollie.
Well,
when you two played him, you'd be surprised.
Ollie is a great manager. Ollie is a great manager. Shut up.
Ollie in for a 10-year contract.
Keep him in, let him sign the thing.
Arsenal should have stayed at Highbury and built up Highbury like we have at Anfield. I just don't think it was possible. The area was just too built up.
Yeah, it's very built up around there.
Highbury was a special place, and I think.
Listen, lads, you have a wonderful stadium. I wouldn't be giving out about bloody stadiums. You're probably one of the best stadiums in the league.
It could do with a look
let's
at
be real. And you own it. You actually own the bloody stadium.
It cost enough. Like, it took a couple of years in the Champions League with Wenger, but it's mad. It was Wenger paid for that basically, which was amazing. Obviously, it was how well some of the Arsenal sides I seen Wenger at the back end, Shamak up front. Shamaks and all the
Where's
boys.
it?
Oh, you don't realise it until now when you look back
Yeah.
and you think, do you know what? Credit,
We got
because
top four
some
with
of the
those
players we've had
those
available.
players, but there's part of it as well, Matt, where the Premier League has just gotten so competitive. We have Steven Gerrard coming into an already a very competitive Premier League, and we've got a lot of very good managers in there. DeSambo said, Ray, do you think that Arteta might spring a surprise? No chance. Martinelli's not coming on, and bring Aubameyang on when the Liverpool defence might be tired. I think he's going to play Lacazette and Aubameyang together. See how the game goes. We're going to play 4-4, 1-1, or 4-4-2, whatever. It's the same situation, really, Dave, do you think a 4-4-2 means two strikers, or is one of those a withdrawn striker? We've had that debate on our channel.
Listen, if I were you, as I said earlier in the stream, I would play both of them and just try and go for it. As I said, I'm not saying it's a game you're expected to lose. Liverpool will be favourites with the bookies. They're at home. Mm-hmm. But just go for it. It's all about mentality. It's all about, if you go into that game fearing that you're going to lose or not win the game, you've more or less lost the game before you get off the bus. You know what I mean? You've got to go into it, put in the performance. It's about, as I say, mentality is huge. If Arteta can get the mentality into those players, say, listen, lads, it's a free hit here. Let's go for it. Play the two boys up front.
Liverpool I don't even like
we don't like playing two guys up front. We don't like not a free hit, but we don't like two players up front. Brentford did it against us. Ivan Toney, I know he's a different type of striker, but Brighton did it. We don't like the two, destroying making our two centre halves think it's usually one or one off. Or even three, one in the middle and two on the wing. But it's different when you're playing two. Van Dijk and Matip are watching. Who's watching who? Who's watching? So if I was an Arsenal manager, I'd be going 4-4-2, and I'd be playing those two boys. Those two boys up front, just going for it. Of course.
There you have it, Matt. Liverpool depleted midfield. Our midfield is only getting better without Xhaka. Tongue firmly in cheek.
To be fair, we haven't really missed him, have we?
Our two forwards up front could give Liverpool some problems. That's
I think we things are positive at Arsenal at the moment. We're playing well, we're getting results. We absolutely have a chance. We have to go into that game thinking like that, or what's the point?
I was liking Helen up until this point.
Helen, you were doing so well. You were doing so well. You had so much love.
Well, the rivalry has to kick in, right? The rivalry does have to kick in at some point. You know what I mean? So, Matt, let's get your prediction.
Ooh. I agree it's going to be. I agree it's going to be tight.
Being the host, I can leave myself last. You see how that works?
I think it is going to be tight. I think our defense is going to stand up to the job. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it will be a draw.
Come on, Matt. Come on.
I think, sadly, I think Liverpool probably will edge it 2-1. That's. I don't want to go that way, but I think that's realistically. I think that's probably the way it's going to.
I can see Liverpool, an experienced team, going the full way again, grinding out a win through sheer willpower. I'm very interested to see what this young Arsenal side, if they can stand the white hot heat. It's going to be probably a full stadium. It's going to be an evening game as well, right?
Yeah.
So Saturday night.
5:30 kickoff, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, this is a potential banana skin. As I said earlier, Liverpool got to bring their A game to the party, and as you say, I think under the lights at Anfield as well. November nights, full crowd. It should be a great game. I'm going to go 2-1. Right. I think Arsenal will score against us. Our defense hasn't been top notch, and I think we'll get the 3 points. But as I say, there'll be a few squeaky bum moments for Liverpool fans because it'll go right to the wire. But I think 2-1 Liverpool.
My head says 2-1 to Liverpool. My heart says 1-1 draw. Jack,
go 2-1, mate, for Liverpool. Just I think.
There you go.
For some reason, I was meant to be going the game.
It's a 2-1 defeat for Arsenal. It's done.
Yeah.
We're giving it 3 points already.
As you said, it's about the performance, isn't it? Yeah. Like in recent years, we've I think remember when we had Sturridge, Suarez, and Steele. Remember that game where we were like
Yeah.
4-0 up in the first 10, 15 minutes? It was like, oh.
I remember listening to that in the car, and I was just like, "Oh my god!"
that was one of those crazy Premier League games, wasn't it? Hopefully, it's not an Andrew Shabin game. I can still remember that as a kid.
4-4.
I can remember just sitting there watching just a man just have shots. Every single shot that he had went up. I was like, oh.
You'll never see a better hat trick or a better 4 goals than that.
I remember the 1989 Michael Thomas bleeding goal. Would you stop it?
How could you forget that, Dave? How could you forget? Alex, thanks for joining us from Cannon Fodder TV. Some people were saying you were at the England game, but no, you're in Glasgow. So enjoy up there. A beautiful, beautiful time off as well. Much needed. Yeah, Anfield has produced so many good games. Anfield 89, we'll never forget that. Then we went back 1990, Paul Merson goal. So, Dave, you want to throw back anyone's? You've given us some wallopings, 5-0 up there.
Look, we've some great games, as you said. I always remember, actually, the FA Cup, the Michael Owen, the 2 late goals, Michael Owen goal, where he has actually demolished us on the pitch. I think it was in Wales, was it in Cardiff? And the handball, the honcho, Stefan Honcho, the handball on the line. Do you remember that?
Got away with that one. Yeah,
got away with no VAR in them days, baby. but we got away with that. I mean, that was the treble winning season, I think it was. But we won the league, the FA Cup, and the UEFA Cup. I think was the whatever you want to call it at that time. But
you got to go. We got to go pretty soon. One question for Matt here. Wenger should come back. He was brilliant manager, knows his stuff. Would you have him on the board, Matt?
Initially, I think it's been a good thing that he's not been at the club. I think when you have such a long reign and you have that such an emotional connection to the club, I think you need a clean break. I think if that's going to be the case. So I think it's been a good thing that he's had that distance from the club until now. I think at this point to have him back, Arteta seems to be. I like the fact that I don't know if anyone else saw this obviously the Invincibles movie, the Wenger film. Yeah. I think at the premiere, Arteta made some comments around it'd be great to have him around the club. It'd be inspirational. To me, that's a man who's very confident in his own abilities, because I think a lot of people would feel very threatened by someone with such stature at the club to come back. You might feel like it's almost treading on your toes a bit. So I quite like that attitude from Arteta, to welcome him back and say, actually, I've got no fear of someone like Wenger coming back to the club, and he'd welcome it. I thought that's quite an interesting comment. I think at this point, I probably would, as long as he's not got too much control, because obviously you don't want him to be dictating Arteta's policies and what he wants to do with the club. I think
he's got that humility about him, I think,
Yeah, I think it would be a positive thing now, provided that the parameters of what he was involved in doing at the club was right, and that he wasn't stepping on too many toes for Arteta and Edu, etc., for the project they want to now implement. But I think, look at what he's built at the club and what he's done for football. I mean, who wouldn't want someone like Wenger, up there, kind of guiding people? And let's face it, the Cronkies haven't really got much experience in football. To have someone like Wenger with that kind of experience, kind of steering the boat in the right direction from a kind of top level point of view, I think that could only be a positive thing. I think I would personally. I think it would have a lot of benefits.
He's such an intelligent man, isn't he? You love him. Like, I love watching him on the beIN Sports. I just wish he was on over there in our channels. The punditry is quite not the best. But Arsene Wenger, the way he just and looks at the game and talks about it, it's so different. Obviously, I think there was a clip a couple of years ago, him and Jose Mourinho just analysing the game, and you're like, it just blows your mind. Obviously, the top level people, but if Wenger, I think the owners are scared of him. I think if he was still in charge, it obviously, I don't think, as you said there, mate, he wouldn't undermine Arteta. He's got too much respect for him. But I think if he went into Arsenal now, it's a lot of the owners to get out, or they'd put them in the place. And that's something the Americans don't want. And they want their own show to go about, mate.
Yeah, you think it may they may see it as a bit of an interference with what they're trying to achieve, and whether he'd maybe put the kibosh on things and almost be too polar opposite to what they want to do and the way they want to do things. I can imagine, because they are very different. Like you say, I think a Wenger approach versus a Kroenke approach probably wouldn't match. So, yeah, they probably would face a bit of opposition rather than trying to go about the business the way they currently are. But I would love to see him back at the club in some capacity. I think that's only positive. You just think of the impact that would have on the likes of Saka, Smith Rowe, the young players that are coming around, to have someone like that. You know, it'd be fantastic, wonderful. But yeah, whether that happens, I mean, he's at the FA. Is he at FIFA now, isn't he?
Yeah, even the recruitment of players. Imagine if you sat a player down, said, "Do you want to sign for Arsenal?" And you go, speaking to Wenger. Oh, we've got it with Kenny as well, so it does help. Even Maldini at Milan. Imagine if you're there, centre half.
United have it with Ferguson, don't they?
No, well, I'm sure he's in charge of the FA still, but we'll move.
Thanks, Dave and Jack, for joining us. Thanks, Matt. We're going to get out of here now. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Cheers, guys. Stay safe.
Thanks for subscribing.
Thanks, guys. It's been brilliant.
Hit the like button. Good luck to you guys after Saturday, okay?
Talk soon.
Bye.
Cheers, boys.